Welcome back to the Nurse Niche. I'm your host, Sean. On this episode, I thought I'd talk a little bit about timing of nursing school. Seems the topic of conversation, reading, at least recently, is people are wondering if there's ever such a thing as being too old or is it too late to go into nursing school. I am living proof that that is not the case. The profession of nursing is my third career, if you're going to count the career I had while working in college. My first career was retail. Worked as a manager in a large, well-known retail chain. I did that for almost 15 years, and I did it off and on while I was in college. My first round of college, I went to school for engineering, and within 2 years realized that while I was good at math, I would not enjoy the career of being an engineer. Nothing against engineers, it just wasn't for me. I found athletic training because I was a prone injury athlete and fell in love with it. Was an athletic trainer for greater than a decade and loved every minute of it. But it wasn't very supportive of everything else in my life. It had a very long, trying schedule and got very little time to myself. And quite honestly, the pay scale wasn't a very good return on investment when it came to the pay scale. The pay scale was actually insulting if you really wanted to break it down. You had to have at least a master's in order to get any kind of money, or at least to feel like you were making any kind of money, and going back for my master's was not an option. I was still working on getting my bachelor's. So did that for a while, and then I got injured and was in the hospital for 2 days, and during that time I met two nurses. I met a female nurse and a male nurse, and discovered that nurses do way more than clean up poop and pass pills. And that's how I fell into the world of nursing. But the point of my conversation is that all of that happened over a 20-year span. I did not enter the profession of nursing, or should I say, I did not even go back to school to pursue the profession of nursing until I was almost 30 years old. And I know there are many out there that are saying, well, I'm 40 and I'm 50 and I'm 60. I still think it's a bunch of BS. There is no such thing as being too old to go back to nursing school. I know for a fact that in my nursing school, now this was over greater than a decade ago, I had a classmate who was in her 60s, and she graduated, she passed her boards, and last I heard, she was still practicing as a nurse. There are so many options, there are so many opportunities that can be thrown in your lap once you become a nurse. The problem is that once you get a certain age and you want to go back to school, it gets harder as you get older because of being out of the game so long. And when I mean the game, I mean being a student. You have a life, you most likely have a family, you most likely have bills and another career, you have a house, you have a mortgage, and all those wonderful things. And you have to figure out how to balance all that because nursing school is going to take up 99% of your time. Your life basically gets put on hold for 3 to 6 years, depending on what course you take. And you have to figure out how to negotiate that. But it is all manageable. There are many of us who have done it. There are still many of us who are doing it. You just have to utilize your resources. You have to reach out to people and find out what works for you. Looking locally, you have to look on the internet, talk to the local colleges. There are options out there. The excuse of I am too old is simply just a cop-out, or should I say it's an easy way of you getting out of having to do the hard work. And that's my challenge, is that if you truly do want to go to nursing school, you want to become a nurse, you, one, have to decide to do it because it's going to be a huge undertaking. And two, you're going to need a lot of help. But age is definitely not an excuse to pursue the career of nursing.